3.8 billion people follow Abrahamic religions today. Yet one question divides Christians worldwide: are Jewish people still God's chosen nation? Or did the church replace Israel in God's plan? The biblical answer might shock you. And it changes everything about how we understand prophecy, salvation, and God's character itself. Let's start with what "chosen" actually means in Scripture. When God called Abraham 4,000 years ago, he made unconditional promises. Your descendants will be as numerous as stars. Through your seed, all nations will be blessed. I will give you this land forever. Notice something crucial here: these weren't conditional promises based on Israel's behavior. They were covenant declarations from an unchanging God. But then Jesus came. And everything seemed to change. The religious leaders rejected their Messiah. They crucified the Son of God. So naturally, many Christians assumed God was finished with Israel. The church became the new Israel. This theology dominated Christianity for centuries. But did God really abandon his chosen people? Paul addresses this exact question in Romans chapter 9 through 11. His answer is emphatic: God has not rejected his people whom he foreknew. Paul himself was Jewish. He calls Israel's rejection of Christ a stumbling, not a permanent fall. Think about this carefully. If God can break his promises to Abraham's descendants, what guarantee do we have that he'll keep his promises to us? Paul uses a brilliant metaphor to explain this mystery. He describes Israel as a natural olive tree. Some branches were broken off because of unbelief. That's the Jewish people who rejected Jesus. Wild olive branches, that's us Gentiles, were grafted in. We now share in the root and fatness of the tree. But here's the key point: the root supports us, not the other way around. Paul then makes an astounding declaration: all Israel will be saved. Not some. Not a remnant. All Israel. How is this possible? He explains that Israel's blindness is only partial and temporary. When the full number of Gentiles comes in, then all Israel will be saved. This suggests a future mass conversion of Jewish people to their Messiah. Look at the evidence around us today. For nearly 2,000 years, Jewish people were scattered across the world. Yet they maintained their identity. Against impossible odds, Israel became a nation again in 1948. Hebrew, a dead language for centuries, is spoken on the streets of Tel Aviv. No other people group in history has done this. It's supernatural preservation. The prophet Ezekiel saw this restoration coming. Dry bones coming together. Breath entering the bones. A vast army standing up. He prophesied Israel returning to their land before their spiritual resurrection. We've witnessed the physical restoration. The spiritual awakening appears to be next. Today, more Jewish people believe in Jesus than at any time since the 1st century. Now, let's be crystal clear about something. Being chosen doesn't mean being automatically saved. Jewish people, like all people, need Jesus for salvation. There's no second path to God. But God's calling and gifts to Israel are irrevocable. Their covenant relationship remains intact. They're still beloved for their Father's sake, even when they don't recognize their Messiah yet. This truth has massive implications for Christians today. If you believe in replacement theology, that the church replaced Israel, you're missing half of biblical prophecy. The promises about Israel's restoration aren't symbolic. They're literal. Jerusalem will be the center of Christ's kingdom. Jewish people will recognize their pierced Messiah. The nations will come to Zion to learn God's ways. So how should Christians respond? First, with humility. We were grafted into their tree, not the reverse. Second, with gratitude. Through Israel came the scriptures, the prophets, and Jesus himself. Third, with prayer. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for Jewish people to recognize their Messiah. Fourth, with respect. Don't let theological differences breed antisemitism. Are the Jews still God's chosen people? Absolutely. Will all Israel be saved? The Bible promises they will. This doesn't diminish the church's role. It magnifies God's faithfulness. If he keeps his promises to Israel despite their rebellion, he'll certainly keep his promises to you. That's the character of our covenant-keeping God. A God who never gives up on his chosen ones.